Hello, it's 11 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. And let's see here. So today we're going to be introducing the new product update. Uh, Actually, we had this new platform up for a while. We are in the transition stage of moving or migrating our current customers from Manager platform to the new Hub platform. Right, and we have couple things for a reminder. If you're having problem with any kind of audio or hearing, please check your audio settings. It should be in computer audio, and it's only for listening. Your mic won't be recorded as part of webinar, so don't worry about that. And also, if your computer audio is having some kind of issue, please feel free to call into the webinar as well for listen in only. And you can actually ask questions in the middle of the webinar that will be monitored by myself and by myself. And if you can just go ahead and type it into the panel and enter it in, and we'll just go ahead and roll through. If your questions are not answered within the webinar, please don't worry. We will reach out to you individually after the webinar to make sure that all the questions are answered. Okay? And the webinar is being recorded and it'll be hosted on our support website later today. It'll be uploaded, and so you can come back and check if you feel like you've missed anything in between. All right. Perfect. So I'm a dedicated customer success manager and account specialist. And today we have our product manager, Jack Daly.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, and thank you so much for taking out your time. Jack Daly is currently in Melbourne, and he is joining in at an early time, which is 6 a.m. So he got very early for this.
No problem.
All right, give me just a second. Let's go ahead and share our screen. Perfect. All right, so what we pulled up is the new Hub platform. And those of you who are, who are not familiar with this new platform, it's probably because you're still using the Manager platform, which is in plan to get migrated over to this new website or the new look itself. Now we have something called dashboard. It's the main thing that we see when we log in. Jack, what can we expect from the dashboard? What kind of we see some charts and some numbers.
Yep. So as you said, Rachel, this dashboard is the first thing that you'll see upon logging into the Hub. So the main thing that we've got here is obviously the graph, which just shows recent inbound and outbound message history. So just covering everything in the last couple of weeks, so you can sort of get a good idea of sort of how you've been sending. There's also a numeric breakdown just covering both a slightly longer and slightly more recent period for that. So you can see again how many outbound and inbound messages have been today and also this month. Just below the graph as well, you can see we've got a list of recent inbound messages. So if we wanted to take a look at that, we can see all of those there and sort of action any that need our attention. There's also options on the right just to configure so our API keys or email to SMS settings if you are using one of those MessageMedia products as well. And then on the left-hand menu, we've got the sort of our main navigation menu, so we can use that to get to all of the different sections of the portal, including sending messages, checking our inbox, managing contacts, running reports, etc. I might just take a minute as well to quickly talk through the upgrade itself. So as you mentioned, Rachel, we've had this new portal for a little while and have been gradually moving all of our customers over to it from the older Manager platform. So the Manager platform has been in service for close to a decade now and is definitely starting to show some signs of its age. So we've built this new platform both to sort of be a more stable and resilient product to offer to our customers, as well as to bring in some of the newer features that we've developed since we originally released Manager. And yeah, this new platform is going to be much better supported than Manager moving forward. So we're sort of making regular updates to it, adding new features, fixing up bugs every month as well.
Perfect. Thanks for answering that. Actually, my next question is going to be why now? Yeah, a couple questions with the customers getting migrated. When can they expect to see this change coming? Is it the same for all customers?
Yep, so we're going to be migrating all of our customers gradually onto this. So every customer will receive an email with their specific day, and I think most of them should have received that already. The bulk of the migrations themselves will be happening over the course of the next couple of weeks. And yeah, then when they do get migrated, everything will be coming across from the manager platform. So they'll be able to log into the new hub portal with all of the same usernames and passwords that they're using today. And then when they do log in, all of their contacts, templates, message history, etc., will be there as well.
Perfect, perfect. All right. And yeah, and just as Jack mentioned, all the email communications should have been sent out. If you haven't seen any of these, updated emails coming through, please check the spam box as well as, these important changes are coming in your way. Now, the platform looks amazing. It's it looks very user friendly, a little more intuitive and, easy on the eyes. How do we go about sending the message?
Yep, so if we just wanted to send a quick message to one or two recipients, we can click on the quick message button in the upper right of the portal there. So this will just pop out a little pane on the right-hand side there, and this button's available on every page. And we can just start typing in the phone numbers of our recipients in there, and you'll see it also does a quick search to see if we have any contacts or contact groups that match what we're typing in, so we can quickly select those as well instead. And then we can just type our message into the box here. So if we just start typing, we can put in whatever we want. You'll see that there's also a drop down just in the upper left of that box letting you select a template if you wanted to send using a pre-saved message template instead. So if you select that, that'll automatically fill out the content of the message box there. And then as soon as we're happy, we can hit send. Or as you can see, Rachel's just deleted the opt-out instructions there. So if we wanted to add in some opt-out instructions again, we just can click that add unsubscribe button down there. And then we can select that, and that'll just automatically add in some opt-out instructions for us. Cool.
Perfect. And this is my personal number, so I'm just going to send it out as we speak. Perfect. So this is a very quick way to send a message. What if, a lot of our customers actually send bulk message, probably out to like 1,000 to 5,000 people at once? How do we go about navigating the bulk send?
Yep. So if we wanted to do that, we would just select the messaging section on the left-hand side of the portal and then go to new message, and that'll take you to sort of the main message composer interface that we've got in the new portal here. So there's certainly quite a bit more going on here than there was in the manager portal, so I might just run through it step by step. So the first thing that we've got here is the sender ID section. So this lets us select what phone number we want to send our messages from. So you can see that the account that we're using today already has a toll-free number saved as its default sender ID. But if we had a couple of different toll-free numbers on the account, maybe there's a few people using the account and they each have their own phone number, we can select that from the drop-down there, as we just saw. There's also options within that drop-down to provision a new dedicated number if you don't have one available currently. Yeah. And the next option that we've got here is adding the recipients. So again, we can just type our recipients in if we wanted to do that. We've got a couple of other options here though if we wanted to use those instead. So there's buttons on the right-hand side there that let us specifically search our address book for any contacts or contact groups that we want to add in, and we can obviously just check those boxes and then add the recipients in. Alternatively, if we wanted to upload a spreadsheet that had a list of recipients in it, as you said, Rachel, we can just click on import from file, click there, and then select a spreadsheet that we've got saved on our computer. And so when we go to upload that spreadsheet, it'll automatically import all the numbers in there, just as it's in the manager platform. Now, the manager platform obviously supported a few different sort of formats for the numbers. So there's that full international format with the leading +1 for North America, or if you just had them in a national format or maybe spaced out or including dashes, that's all supported as well. So you can see in this match column section here that the hub's been smart enough to figure out which column of our spreadsheet the phone number was in already. But if we did want to change that for whatever reason, or if it had gotten it wrong, we can just click that drop down and select from the list there. There's a couple of other checkboxes that we've got here. The first one just allows us to indicate whether or not we've got any column titles in the first row of our spreadsheet, which we do, so it's good that that's been checked. And then the next option down there is select additional metadata for reporting. So this is a new feature that's available in the hub. Essentially what this lets us do is we can select columns from our spreadsheet to save against the messages that we send out as part of this broadcast. And that way, when we run reports later, we'll be able to actually include that data from our spreadsheet as a column in these reports. So if we scroll back up a step to the message content, so this is where we go to actually send a message out from. So we can just type that into the message box here, just as we did in the quick message example. Again, we've got the option to include to select a template if we wanted to do that. We also have the option there, it says file columns. If we click that drop down, we can personalize the message by including data from our spreadsheet. So if we were to select, say first name, that'll just pop that into the message content itself. And we can see on the message preview on the right-hand side there that it is including that personalization correctly. Obviously, you can see, Rachel, your name's just been included in that message content there. And then if we click on the arrows just underneath that little phone preview there, we can scroll through and take a look at some of the other messages that are going to be sent out. So we can see that, yes, it is merging everything correctly across all of the recipients in the spreadsheet.
Nice. Yeah, this feature is really great. I don't think the manager platform didn't have this preview of the smartphone of what the recipients will be viewing. Is that correct?
No, it didn't. It sort of would give you one very quick preview, but only of the first message. So, if there's something wrong with the others, you wouldn't be able to see that at all. So I think, yeah, this is a much better representation of what it's actually going to look like for your recipients when they get their message.
I see. And I see this picture MMS feature that we see. Let's just go back to it. Yeah. What is this tab? Was this available in the manager as well?
This is another new feature that's unique to the Hub platform. So we can now support sending MMS messages as well. So if we were to select that, that'll just scroll over to another option that'll allow us to include a picture on our message. So if we would just click that, we could again select an image from our computer that we wanted to send out. So there's a number of different file formats that are supported, such as JPEG, PNG, GIF, etc. And then if we select that, we can see that that's, again, automatically updates in the preview to show, again, what it'll look like to the recipients when they get it on their phone. So as I say, yeah, this is a new option that is available to customers that are using the Hub. It is priced a little bit differently to SMS, so just get in touch with your account manager if you think that's something that you'd like to start using.
Perfect. And one quick question. While sending the picture, am I still able to include text as a part of the MMS, or does the MMS kind of exclude the text message and the picture?
No, absolutely. So you can still send the message as part of that, or the text as part of that message. So if you just start typing in again, you can see again, obviously, it's just starting to populate that in there right away.
Awesome. Yeah. So manager platform didn't actually have the MMS feature, was not able to send or receive picture messages. And when when the users migrate over, the MMS feature will not automatically be available. This is available upon request. So please reach out to support, account management team, or your dedicated customer success manager to look into this feature. Okay.
Cool. So if we keep on moving on to the next section there, we've got message details. So this is a fairly straightforward section. So the first option that we've got here is to give the broadcast a name. So as you can see, it's pre-populated that for us, but if we did want to give it a specific name, maybe just to make it a little bit easier to find in our reporting, we can do that here as well. Then the next option that we've got below that is a checkbox, just asking whether or not we want to request any delivery receipts for this message. So that's what functions in exactly the same way that it did in the old manager portal. If we select that, it'll just show the delivery status of each message in our reporting. Next is the send period. So this allows us to select whether we want to send all of our messages at once or if we want to trickle them out over a period of time. So that can be quite useful if you're sending a very large number of messages that you're expecting replies to, and you just don't want to get flooded with replies all at once. Obviously, if you trickle the messages out gradually, the replies should come back in gradually as well.
Yeah, and I've heard some great response about the sending period. If it's a registrar office at a university organization that is sending out, 10,000 messages to students or applicants, this is very useful. So it doesn't, if it's requiring students to make appointments, so it becomes staggered. Yeah, this is good to know.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then the last option we've got in this section is the schedule. So this just lets us say whether or not we want to send this broadcast out right now, or if we'd like to schedule it to go later at a specific date and time.
Choose time zone. That's great.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, let's go ahead and schedule it. Really, should we go ahead and schedule it?
Yep. Let's do that.
Yeah. What happens if I schedule it for Friday on Pacific time?
Yep, so if you hit schedule right there, that will save it so that it is ready to go out from the account. So you can see that we've just gotten that little pop-up saying that it's been scheduled successfully. And now if you go to the scheduled section on the left-hand side under messaging, it'll take us to a page that lists all of the scheduled broadcasts that we have on this account currently. So we can see obviously there's the name that we gave it there. We can see how many recipients are in that file. We've got the message content, the scheduled date and time, and what we're sending it from. And if you were to just click on those sort of three little buttons at the end there, we've got the option to pause the scheduled message and then edit it. So maybe we needed to change some of the recipients, or we realized that there was a typo in the message content that we wanted to fix before it goes out. So if we were to click on that, that will take us straight back into the compose message interface, and we'll be able to modify all of the details there as well. So you can see, yep, we're right back in, and we can change anything that we want.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds great. So I went ahead and paused it. And perfect. So this kind of covers all the bulk sent messages. If I were to go ahead and if I'm expecting a two-way communication, or if I'm sending to 1,000 people and I want to monitor the inbound messages, how do we check those?
Yep, so there's a couple of ways to do that in the new portal. Probably the one that I'd recommend is using the inbox. So again, we can get to that just on the left-hand menu there. And what this does is it'll take us to a conversational view where we can see all of the inbound messages that have been received by this account. So we can see a bit similar to an email inbox. On the left-hand side there, we've got a list of all of the messages that we've received on the account, ordered from newest to oldest. And then you can also see that any unread ones are flagged at the top as well, just so that they're quite easy for us to see. And if we were to click on one of those messages, that will bring up the entire conversation history with that recipient. So we can see messages going back and forth between them there. And if we did want to type a new message to them quickly, we can do that just from the bottom there and then hit send, and that will go straight out to them so we can chat back and forth. So this inbox updates in real time. So as soon as we receive the message back from the recipient, it'll appear here so that our customers can immediately action any responses that need it. You'll also see on the, go ahead.
Oh yeah. I do see that there's a number notification that's pop up. Are there any other ways that the users can receive these inbound notifications?
Yep, so we can also, if we go back to the messaging section, we can go to received, and that will allow us to view all of the messages that we've received on the account. Again, just list them all out from the order of newest to oldest. And again, we've got all of the key message details there and the option to reply to them quickly. And there's one other thing we can do with regards to the notifications. So we can actually enable desktop notifications with the new portal as well. So if you just click on your name in the upper right there, Rachel, and then go to profile, that will take us to some profile settings where we can configure the options to receive notifications on the desktop or in the browser. So as you can see there's a couple of different options that we've got. So that we can go a notification on the desktop specifically. We can flag an icon on the tab in your browser, And we can also play a sound as well when it comes through. So if you click that, and then you just need to let the browser, you need to just give the browser permission, obviously, to give those notifications. But if you do that, you can get notified right away whenever there's a new message that comes in.
I see. Yeah, it did play a sound, which nobody can probably hear. Okay, great. Good to know. Perfect. And earlier when we, sent out the messages, there were some contacts in the new message. How do I go about saving those?
Yep, so if we go to, again, on the left-hand menu, the contact section, so there are a couple of options under this, contact groups and all contacts. If we go into all contacts, that will display a list of all of the contacts that we have on this account. You can see that some of the contacts we've got here are grayed out. So that means that they're unsubscribed and we can't send any messages to them. So it's a good way to sort of keep track of everyone and make sure that you can see who has and hasn't opted out. So you might want to remove them from any contact list that you've got. There's also a drop down labeled status in the upper left there that lets you filter the inbox based on whether the contacts are subscribed or unsubscribed. And if we wanted to create a new contact or add an existing one, we can do that from here as well. So obviously the new contact button will allow us to create a new contact. And if we clicked onto the three dots at the end of any given contact, we're able to edit their details as well. So if we go into that, is sort of all of the key information that we used to have on contacts in the manager portal is here as well. First name, last name, phone number, etc. But there's a few more options that we can take advantage here of as well. So obviously there is the subscribed and unsubscribed status, but there's also a few custom fields that we support now. So if we wanted to add any additional data to our contacts, maybe a customer ID number or a department that they're located in or a location, we can do that. And then all of these custom fields will be available to us when we go to compose our message, and we're going to be able to merge those into the message content exactly as if they were just another column in our spreadsheet. So you can also see in the upper right of this page, we've got the contact group section. Oops. Yep, which just allows us to manage those the groups that contact is in as well. So if we wanted to add or remove the contact from the group, we can do that very easily. We just need to type in the group name or hit the X if we wanted to remove them, and you'll see that'll come up with the suggestions automatically.
And I can see that one contact can be added into multiple groups as well.
Yep, exactly. So you don't need to have multiple copies of a contact to have them in multiple groups. They can be shared across different groups or just on the same contact record.
Great, that's really good to know. And under the contact groups, what is the best way to upload, if there were to be an option, upload up to 1,000 or 5,000 contacts that I have?
So the best way to do that is to click the import contacts option just in the upper right there. So if we select that, we get taken to a page that just allows us to import our list of contacts. So we can choose right away whether we want to import them as subscribed or unsubscribed. So maybe if you were bringing in a list of people that had requested not to receive messages from you and you wanted to add them to your blacklist in our system to make sure that no messages get sent out, you can do that from here. Or if you wanted to just upload a new list of recipients to send messages to, obviously you can just import them as subscribed. You can click the import file button, and then we can choose another spreadsheet, just like we did earlier when we were going to send out the messages. You can see again, the hub's automatically detected which column the phone numbers are in, and now it's just asking us to match up any other columns in our spreadsheet to any fields that we want in the contact system. Now, all of these fields are optional with the exception of the phone number. You don't have to put any of those other details in, but obviously if you do, it can make things a bit easier and you can sort of take advantage of some of the additional options that we offer now. So if you were just to hit the import button in the lower right there, you can do that and we'll import all of the contacts automatically.
Yeah, one's a fake number, so it probably didn't pull through.
Yep, exactly.
All right, and sorry, I have a question about the group email. Is this something that's necessary for all users?
No, so that's completely optional, and it's also a new feature that we've introduced with the hub. So for any customers that are using our email to SMS feature, if they wanted to send a single message to multiple recipients, historically they've had to enter every single recipient's phone number when they go to send that email message. What they can do now with the group email is they can create a group of contacts in the hub, and they can set a group email alias for that group of contacts. And then when they go to send an email to SMS message, they can just use this group email alias, and then we'll automatically send the message to all of the contacts within that group.
So if I upload, let's say 5,000 people to this test group that I have, and I set up, 5,000 tests at e2smessagemedia.com, this means as long as I have the email to SMS, I log into my email inbox, send it to 5,000 test at E2S Message Media. It'll send out the text message to all the 5,000 people in my group.
Yep.
Is that correct? Oh, nice.
Exactly.
Awesome. Perfect. Right.
Yeah.
And with this many contacts, especially for customers who are sending bulk or who are working on the day-to-day SMS, it seems like having a report is quite handy. And how do we go about pulling the reports? And we definitely want to highlight the differences between the manager and the new platform.
Yep. So if we wanted to go into the reporting section on the left-hand menu there, and then go to detailed reports. So this is from where we can run a report of all messages getting sent and received from the account. So you can see, again, we've got a couple of graphs up the top here, just showing some of the more recent usage. And then below that, we've got a full detailed report of every message that's been sent out from the accounts in the sort of the last couple of weeks. And all of the the standard message details you'd expect there, sort of showing dates, times, recipient numbers, whether the message was delivered or not, how many credits were used to send that message. You'll also see there's the columns drop-down option just immediately above and to the right of this report. If we were to select that, we could choose additional columns to add and remove from this report as well. So you can see we've got a few additional options that we've got there. And I mentioned earlier when we were going to send those messages out that we had the option of including columns from any spreadsheets that we uploaded as metadata to be made available in reporting. So had we done that, we can select those from this list there to include them in that report. Additionally, awesome. Just above the date column there, you can see that there's a tab toggle that allows you to switch between a report of outbound sent messages or a report of inbound received messages.
Perfect. And what is the difference between sent message and the middle sent message? There are outbound and billing units.
Yep. So just the standard sent message outbound, that shows how many messages in total have been sent from the system, whereas the billing unit shows how many units or credits were used to send that message. So SMS obviously has a character limit of 160 characters. If you were to send a message that's longer than 160 characters, it just uses multiple SMS to send that out. It all comes through as one long message on the recipient's phone, but just because it does take multiple SMS to send that out, it uses 2 units to send that message. So that's what those two graphs represent, the difference between messages sent and total units used.
I see. So this is more of the billing units, meaning if I send 100 messages out, but every single message is broken down into 2 parts, that means I will get billed for 200 units. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. Because even though you've sent 100 messages, it's taken 200 SMS to send all of those messages.
I see. And when pulling out the report, how do I can see that I can email myself the report. Is there a way to personalize or make it automated?
Yeah, exactly. So if we were to click on the email report button in the upper right there, that will allow us to generate and export this report to us. So we can select the date range. We can also include a couple of other filtering options that we wanted to on these messages. So you can do that right away from here. You don't have to set up these filters in the reporting interface itself. But yeah, you can report on, say, maybe just delivered messages or just failed messages if that's interesting to you, or you can look for messages just for a specific contact. And then you can also choose whether you want just outbound messages, just inbound messages, or both. Yeah. And then, yeah, down the bottom, you can choose, which columns you want to include, as well as the recipients that you want to go to. So you can put in just your email address, or if you wanted to send it to a few different people, you can include all of their email addresses as well. And then if we wanted this report to be run regularly, so rather than just having to come in and run it, say, on the first of every month or every Monday or whatever frequency we wanted, if we were to click scheduled report, we can export this report in such a way that it gets emailed to us every week or every month. So we can, again, just select the date range that we want the report to be run for, and we can select the frequency that we want the report to come in as well. And then again, we just put in all of those message recipients and hit schedule, and then that report will get generated and sent to us automatically at the frequency that we set.
And similar to the scheduled messages, I would assume that these reports are manageable and editable as well.
Yep, exactly. So again, just on the left-hand menu, there's a scheduled reports section. So if we go to that, we can see a list of all of the reports that we've got scheduled on the account. We've got all of the details that we want, and we've got the ability to click on the end of the row there and just edit that report or remove it entirely if we wanted to do that. We also have the option from this page to generate an entirely new scheduled report if we wanted to do that too.
Awesome. All right. So that's really great tools we have with the reporting. Are there any additional reporting tools we can use?
Yeah. So there's a couple of different other different reports that we can do in here. So there's one that we can see on the left-hand menu there, saying it's the user usage report. So if we go into that, that shows us all of the messages sent from the account. We can run that report, and that will break them down by the different user that is doing the sending. So yeah, if we select that, we should see all of that broken down. And there's another option that's available to account administrators where they can run a sub-account usage report. So on the account, there's the parent account at the top the administrators have access to, and then they can set up multiple sub-accounts. We'll get into that a little bit more in a second. But on that top level account, the administrators can look at all of the usage across all of their different sub-accounts. So if we go into that sub-account usage report right now, we can see there's a graph there showing all of the different usage across the different accounts, and we can see down there below there's a list showing how many outbound and inbound messages are getting used by each sub-account in this system here. And then on the right, there's also a list of what we call cold accounts. So these are accounts that haven't sent or received any messages recently. So potentially there's an opportunity for the administrator to review if they're even needed or not anymore.
Amazing. And speaking of the sub accounts and the parent account that we see, I just switched over, as we see, the account that we were showing from the beginning was a sub account, which, is directly related with the parent account. How does that, when the customers migrate from the manager platform to the current platform or the hub, how would they be able to manage their account?
Yeah, so this is one of the more powerful concepts that we're introducing with the new platform. So previously in the manager system, every user was essentially its own sub account. There was one login, and when the user logged in, they could see sort of everything that was on that, but they didn't have any visibility over anything else that any other users in the organization were doing. So when we migrate everyone across, we'll be maintaining that. So every user will continue to be set up as its own sub accounts, and they'll still have their own logins and so forth. But once they're migrated across, so the account administrators will have the ability to sort of reconfigure the account a bit and reorganize it in a way that maybe makes a bit more sense for them. So you can see here on our support site, we've got a few different examples of ways that you can highlight that. So we can see maybe we have just the top level parent account, and we have all of the different users logging in and sharing access to that parent account. Or maybe we have the parent account and the administrators set up different sub accounts. So potentially, maybe each sub account is a different location within the organization or a different department. Maybe we want our sales team, our billing team, and our development team to all have access to, to their own separate accounts, and they each have, individual users under that. Or maybe we have, the top level parent account, and we have a couple of users operating directly under that. And then we have the different sub accounts as well, with separate users operating under that. So each sub account only has view over its own message history, its own contacts and templates and so forth. And the users under that sub account only have access, to whatever is on that sub account. However, as we just saw, it is possible for a user to have access to multiple sub accounts if the administrator, thinks that they're going to need to be across, maybe multiple teams or multiple departments. So they can be granted access to that, and then they have the ability to switch back and forth between those two accounts, as we saw in the portal there. So if we wanted to set up a new sub account, we can do that from the parent account if we're logged in as an administrator. So if we go back to the hub, and then we'll see under the accounts section, there is a sub accounts page. So if we select that, that will show all of the different sub accounts that we have currently under this account. We've got, a quick summary of the messages sent and how many users there are that have access to that sub account at the moment. We've got the option to log in as well. Again, we've got those the ability at the end of the row there just to remove or edit that sub account, and we also have the ability to add a new sub account as well. We also can manage our users from this account section too. So if we were to go to the users section just on the lower left there, we can go to add a new user. Again, we can obviously see the list of all the existing ones here as well. We can add the new user. We just put in the email address of the user that we want to add to the account. And then we can choose what role they have. So there's obviously the administrator and the advanced, and then there's also the advanced user, and there's a basic user. So a basic user is another new concept that we're introducing with the hub. So as I mentioned when we were talking about sub accounts, it's possible to have multiple users all sharing the same sub account, so they can take advantage of seeing each other's messaging history, which can be useful when you're working in a team, as well as sharing all of the same contacts and templates. So by default, that's what an advanced user is able to see. If we were to instead invite this user as a basic user, they'd still be able to log into the account, and they'd still be able to take advantage of all of the shared contacts and templates that are available to all of the users of that sub account. However, they would only be able to see messages that they themselves have sent out when they run reports. And then when they go to check their inbox or their received messages, they'll only see messages that that have been received in response to the messages that they've sent out. So if we wanted to still have everyone taking advantage of the shared templates and contacts and so forth, but we wanted to make sure that there's message privacy between users, we can just include them as basic users like that. And then down the bottom of this pop-up, we've also got the option to select which sub account or sub accounts we want this user to have access to, or if we just want them to be on the parent account, we can select that as well.
Got it. So what I would assume for advanced user and basic user is, deciding which user access works better for my team is it heavily depends on the team's day-to-day operation, and advanced users are for teams that work closely together as a team, that needs visibility for all the inbound and outbound messages, while basic users would work individually with their own discretion.
Yeah, exactly. And it is possible to sort of change a user's permissions, sort of as their roles go forward. So so currently all you need to do is you can just uninvite the user from the account and then re-invite them as a user with a different permissions level. And going back to what I mentioned earlier with sort of regular updates coming every month to the hub. So one of the planned improvements in the next update is just making it easier to immediately change a user's permission without having to remove and re-add them from the account.
Right. And if I am the admin of all of the accounts, now that we mentioned with all the structure of having multiple sub accounts, how would I know, because a sub account actually operates as its own account, how would I be able to tell as I log in whether I'm in the parent account or the sub account?
Yep, so you can see in the upper left of the page there, it just says which account you're in, and then there's a drop down that you can see there that allows you to switch between those accounts. Additionally, from the parent account, you can, in the sub account sections we saw earlier, there was a login option. So if we're in the parent account and we want to go to a specific sub account, we can go to that sub account section, select the specific sub account we want to log into, and hit that button, and then that'll take us right into that account.
So we can click on the top left, for the login button as well.
Yep, exactly.
Great. All right, so I'm in my sub account, and we also have something, within the account besides adding users. We see account settings. Can we walk through the settings really quick?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So if we click on that, so that lets us run through a whole heap of specific settings for this sub account. So the first one that we've got there obviously is the account name. So we can make sure that this account is immediately recognizable for its purpose from that name. We've got the ability to set the time zone the account is in as well. So that's obviously quite useful for scheduling messages and reporting, making sure that the timestamps immediately make sense to us. And then the next option we've got up the top here is the automatic unsubscribe. So this is on by default for all customers, and it essentially just allows us to set some default keywords that whenever we receive a message that contains one of these keywords, it will automatically blacklist that number and add them to our opt-outs to make sure that we don't send any further messages to them to maintain compliance. So we have sort of all of the standard compliance keywords in there that are expected by most carriers. But if a customer did want to add in any additional keywords that were relevant to them, they can do that from there as well.
Nice. And if the account time zone is marked as none, then which time zone does it automatically, set to?
It should inherit from the parent account.
Got it. Perfect. Right. A messaging limit. Is this, are these numbers automatically set by the account, or can I set them myself?
So they are automatically inherited from the parent account whenever a new sub account is created. But then as the administrator, you can go in and modify them if you wanted to. So yeah, you can set a per hour or per day limit just to make sure that no one accidentally sends out like 100,000 messages or something like that.
Got it. And let's say I go over the daily limit of 500 and just goes ahead and send 1,000. What happens there?
Yep. So if you go over the daily credit limit, you just get an email notification letting you know, you've hit the limit. If you're sending from the portal as well, you'll also get a pop-up saying that you've hit the limit and that no more messages can be sent. In that instance, if you are the administrator, you're obviously able to amend that limit yourself. Otherwise, if you're a standard user, you just need to contact the administrator. Additionally, our support team can always be reached for any inquiries around the daily sending limit.
Got it. Yes, and I believe upon account generation, the standard daily limit is 5,000 per day. So if anything needs to be raised above that, if you're part of the organization that needs to send 30,000 within a day, definitely give us a call and we would need to get an internal approval for it.
Yep, and then any existing SMS limits from the manager system will obviously automatically be carried over into the new portal as well.
Got it. Perfect. And it seems like there's a template that we can just set it as default.
Yep, exactly. So we've seen this a couple of times as we've gone to send the messages through this webinar, but if we have a template saved on the account, we can set that to automatically populate the message content field whenever we go to send, if that's something that we're going to be sending a lot. So we can do that. We can do that here, and that can just save us a bit of time when we go to send the message. Also, if we just wanted to include a sign off on all of our messages similar to an email signature, we could obviously create a template that contained what we wanted for that, and then set that as the default so that will automatically be present on every message that we send.
Great. And we have some other cool features that we see. Social aware sending. If I turn this on, it seems like the messages will only be sending from the time that I designate. Is that correct?
Yeah. So this is a feature that's quite useful just to make sure that you don't accidentally message anyone out of hours. So what you can do is you can select a start time and an end time, and if you try and send any messages in between that start and end time, they'll just send out normally. If you try to send any messages outside those hours, we would just catch and hold them in the system until, in this instance, 8 a.m. the next day, and we'll send all of those out automatically. And again, we just use the account time zone to control, when those start and end times are as well.
Awesome. Great. Sounds great. And earlier, within the contact management, there was, we mentioned something like email to SMS. which a lot of our current manager customers are using. And if and when they're migrated over to the new hub, I'm going to quickly scatter over to the email to the SMS section. Are they still able to, do their day-to-day activity of sending SMS through their email inbox?
Yep. So again, that's another thing that we'll be bringing across as part of this. So if you have access to email to SMS prior to migration, you'll still be able to send using the exact same methods that you did prior to that. And if you did need to amend anything with regards to your email to SMS settings after migration, you can do that from the portal just by going to the configuration section as you just did there. And from here, you can see we can control some of the settings, like setting the maximum number of SMS units that can be used in any one email to SMS message. We can control whether or not the subject line is included as part of the content when we go to send. And we can also control, what end terminators we want to include. So if, so the examples that we've got there obviously are end and end SMS. If we would include that in our email, that'll automatically tell the system to not send anything beyond that point as part of the message content. Similar, say we want to remove our signature or something like that, we can put that terminator in. And then if we wanted to add an additional email address to be able to send email to SMS messages from the system, we can do that from here as well. So if we just exit out of the settings modal and then go down to the allowed email addresses and domains, we can see there's a couple of email addresses already permitted on this account. But if we wanted to add a new one, we can just click on add, and then we can add that in here as well. So that'll just allow us to sort of add as many people from the team as we need to. So again, this is sort of another one of the advantages of the new system. We no longer need to have a separate sub account for every single email to SMS user. We can sort of put them all on the one account. And then it's obviously still possible in reporting for the administrator to tell which email to SMS user has been sending the messages out.
Awesome. Yeah, this seems like, all the platform features and the basic functions that we covered seems really helpful. It seems more, intuitive, very user-friendly, and the platform itself is kind of easy on the eyes. Now, in terms of questions, we didn't get any questions incoming yet, but again, if you have any questions about the platform or anything that we covered in details, feel free to give us a direct call to our support line or email us at the support line. Now, just without the basic functions, I do want to ask, what happens with the migration? We already covered that, data, templates, and everything is just simply just moved over without any kind of edits made. Now, this seems like an upgrade. Are there any costs involved? If I was a manager user, then what would I need to pay?
Yep, so there's no changes to pricing involved with this. So when you get moved across, all of the existing sort of message rates and subscription and so forth will all be automatically moved over into the new system. Additionally, there's no change to the billing cycle as well. So you just sort of continue to automatically receive your invoice at the same time every month that you would on the manager portal. And yeah, as I said, there's no change in pricing. So that'll continue to be exactly the same as well.
Awesome. All right, and where can I find the user guide? Earlier, we went ahead and shown the account management side. How can I locate the user guide or help when I need it?
Yep. So we have a full support site available. So that's just support.messagemedia.com. And when you go to that, there's a full guide of everything related to the new portal. It's really, really diverse, and there's lots of articles in here that get updated quite frequently. We also, as you can see at the top there, we've got a frequently asked questions section that runs through sort of all of the common questions. We've also got some specific migration questions as well here as well. So if there's any questions specifically related to migration, we can run through those too. There's also lots of how-to videos and quick guides. So any questions that you have about the portal can probably be answered through here. And then, as we said, you can always reach out to the support team either by phone or by emailing support@messagemedia.com as well.
Great, awesome. And I also wanted to note, of course, support.messagemedia.com is our general standalone website itself, but we can also, while you're on the platform, just click on help and it'll take you directly to our support page. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I think we covered everything, and having some FAQ or Q&A sessions now, and it looks like there's a little bit of a questions that we have here. So one of them is, what will the socially aware sending default setting to be? So I think.
So it is off by default. So by default, you can send your messages whenever you want. However, when you turn the setting on, it does default to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. in whatever time zone you are in. However, as you can see there's a couple of drop downs, so we can just click on either of those drop downs to change the start and end time as need be. So you can just sort of select any hour in the day on in a 24-hour cycle. Yeah.
Got it. So I can actually edit the time as well.
Yeah, exactly. The only restriction is that the start time obviously has to be before the end time.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Perfect. And I also have another question that's being asked with, will the display name still be available for accounts? And
yes. Yes, so when we migrate all of the existing accounts across as sub-accounts, we'll be using the display name for the sub-account name by default.
So if, let's pretend, there was an account within or current manager account that has 3 users, Jack Daly, Rachel Ray, and Alvin Trin. And if that were to be the case, when I look at when it gets migrated over to the hub account, will their display names, which is our first and last name, be shown as the sub account?
Yep, exactly.
Got it. And I have the ability to change them as well.
Yep. So yes, as an account administrator, you can edit those as need be.
Okay, awesome. And I think those are the only questions we have at the moment. Yeah, we got a comment that says looks great, which I entirely agree. All right, anything else you want to cover before we close everything off, Jack?
That's pretty much everything. Just sort of restate what we mentioned earlier on. So the migration is going to be happening sort of over the next couple of weeks, and all of our customers should have already received an email with their specific migration date on it. If they haven't, they can just reach out to their account manager or to our support team, and they'll be able to help them with that. And yeah, as I said, as soon as the migration happens, you'll just be able to log right into the new portal using the same username and password that you've always been using historically. All of the contacts, templates, etc., will already be in there. And then any email to SMS users will be able to continue sending email to SMS messages exactly as they always have with no change.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for covering. And also thank you so much for joining at this early time. And for those of you who joined a little later, Jack Daly is our product manager and he is part of the Melbourne team. So he definitely woke up early to give us a great view and for the best explanation ever. With everything put into consideration, all this webinar will be posted up online on our support page. So feel free to link into it or share it with your team members. If you have any questions about it, feel free to dive in, ask us more questions through our support line, your dedicated customer success manager or account manager, and we'll definitely get those questions answered for you. All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time. Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay,
And we'll hope to see you soon.